here's the meme of the day, brought to you by 5mind.com. Well, there it is, folks, the first sign of a civil war within the DNC. Again, the Democrats are suggesting that there's nothing really going on here. No, your perception is warped. There's no panic, there's no chaos and division, no dysfunction in the Democrat Party. They're the party of a big tent, and it's all a bunch of Republican fear-mongering. There's no socialist scourge currently enveloping the party. No, of course not. That's what they say, but it appears as though their actions are telling a very different story. A different story indeed, as already the DNC appears to be working overtime now to disenfranchise and disadvantage the Democrat Socialists of America in the presidential primary process. Yeah, basically the exact same thing they did to Bernie Sanders. They're all lovey-dovey with these socialist types when it comes to off-season elections, particularly because during those times, well, you have to rally the socialist base. That's how you get the vote out, and that applies to midterm elections as well, at least more so than a general election. But once the presidential race rolls around, all of a sudden that's where you see the true colors, and the DNC very clearly wants nothing to do with the Bernie bros, the DSA types, the Hassan terrorist faction, or the Mamdani commie revolutionaries. And now here we have the Democrats taking their first step. Let me show you guys what's going on here. We got some stuff to get into, so let's roll the tape. All right, folks, if the Democrats won't admit it publicly, I guess you got to read between the lines, and that's exactly what we're doing here with this latest decision that just came down.
Welcome back. Democrats poised now to make South Carolina the first 2028 primary. A DNC rules panel has just approved the change moments ago, ending Iowa's decades-long run at the front of the calendar. A final vote on this expected at the DNC summer meeting taking place next month that will solidify the Dems' first primary since 2020.
So the Democrats have picked South Carolina now as the first state to lead the Democrat primary. And this may seem kind of like a nothing burger, like it might not mean much, but it tells you everything. This is way more
Good evening. Yes. Good evening. Check this out.
Significant than a lot of people might think. And no, it's not some DEI appeal to a high black population state. It's not some pandering attempt to black voters to make them feel better.
They really think AOC will be running for president. If she do, it's going to be a shit show. It's going to be hilarious on the real. I don't know why they keep on trying to prop these people up. They did the same thing to Jasmine Crockett. Put her up here, now she gone. She be gone in January, finally. And she keep on saying the most stupidest shit ever.
After the VRA was nuked. No, this is a cold, calculated strategy to cut Democrat socialist momentum. Essentially, the play here is that South Carolina's Democratic primary is majority black, older, and slightly more pragmatic and moderate.
And you guys worry about MAGA and Democratic socialists trying to take over. They want to get rid of ICE, cops, jail, all type of stuff. They just want chaos. They want to get rid of the Constitution. They want to get rid of the Constitution. Are you serious? 250 years. Y'all want to get rid of that. That's stupid as hell. These people cannot be in office. Why they get voted in makes no sense. But I get why people want free shit. Stop being lazy.
And how they vote. The Democrat voting demographic in South Carolina tends to vote for Joe Biden-style candidates and not really falling for the DSA socialist revolutionary stuff, which I'd say is mighty ironic and kind of proves the point that we've been making, that the DSA is essentially filled with a bunch of white trust fund babies, and of course Islamist and third world adjacent newer immigrants, different demographic groups. And so essentially the DSA crap isn't going to play very well in South Carolina. Not at all. And of course this is going to create quite the implication. If South Carolina goes first, well, that's basically going to cut any momentum the DSA was hoping for. There's all...
How you doing? Trump won, evil's lost. That's what's up. Yeah, I'm MAGA here. I'm MAGA. Yes. Oh, yeah.
All this hype behind Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and any other far-left socialist morons, well, it's not going to show up in the early primary calendar, and basically the DSA needs that momentum if they expect to actually pull off an internal party victory. That would basically be their only choice if the Democrat primary primary started in a state that they're actually competitive in, and they pull off an upset victory. All of a sudden, that's dominating headlines, and you got an out with the old and in with the new kind of situation that the DNC is facing. And well, they're petrified of that, and so they picked what they believe to be the safest state possible. Unsurprising, the demographic group that they control the best, let's say. Yeah, that's the state they want to run with first. And I'd say very telling, considering they picked a red state to lead the process, and followed by 2 purple states. That tells you all that you need to know. They want the DSA to have the showing on day 1 possible. In other words, they're rigging the process and now mobilizing against the DSA faction in their party. And really, that's just the start. The establishment appears to be now going all in as they assume this defensive posture.
Yeah, AOC's Kamala Harris 2.0. The last speech she did, she changed her accent and everything. I'm like, what's going on, man? Y'all don't see these people are comedians. These are actors. They phony as hell. Like, people up there just going with it, like seals clapping. Jesus Christ.
It's not just this, but we also got a clip here from Gretchen Whitmer coming in at the last second, now endorsing Abdul El Sayed's primary opponent in the Michigan Senate race.
As governor, I've had one strategy: get things done. And that strategy informs everything that I do. And that's why I'm endorsing Haley Stevens for the U.S. Senate.
And that, again, also is very telling, because usually if you've got such a high-profile Democrat dominating in the party, if it was like a James Tallarico character, they'd be all in. But when it's a high-profile...
God is in us. I don't believe in the imaginary God. God lives in us. Welcome to the chat. My name is Deunta. Everybody is welcome. If you're not MAGA, it's all good. You don't gotta be MAGA, but you're still welcome to the chat.
DSA member, all of a sudden they come out endorsing the girl who's running basically double digits behind. It's very clear there's an internal struggle here. It's once again the same kind of mobilization that we saw attempting to stop Bernie Sanders in his tracks. They want nothing to do with it. They don't want this to be the direction of their party because, well, they can see into the future. The writing's on the wall. They understand how much of a disaster Bernie-style politics is on a general election stage. And, well, speaking of that, Bernie Sanders just had a little bit of a moment.
Senator, can we ask you a question about Democratic Socialist candidates? Do you think Americans are too comfortable with them? Are you worried they're a liability for the elections? Are you concerned they might be a liability, sir?
I'm concerned now is how we going to...
He went from tax to millionaires. Now he's a millionaire. Now it's tax to billionaires. The shit crazy as hell. Democrat Party is a bunch of hypocrites. You got Chuck Schumer saying illegals shouldn't be voting. Illegals need IDs. Years later, now he calling it Jim Crow 2.0. Like, dude, you a Democrat. That's y'all party. Y'all made that up. And once again, Democrat Party made the name up. Came up with the name. Jim Crow 2.0. Amazing. Democrat Party, and I love America, man. And Bernie Sanders bogus as hell.
Nominate a CDC guy. All right, let me tell you something. The American people are disgusted with an economic system in which one guy on top, Elon Musk, owns more wealth than the bottom half of American society.
Because he earned
They're
it.
tired of a situation where 60% of our people...
Okay, well, up your money then, Bernie. Up your money for the people out here, these veterans.
living paycheck to paycheck, where our kids are likely to have a lower standard of living than they do, while the very richest people in America are getting richer. They are tired of a corrupt political system in which billionaires buy elections. They want change. They want candidates, they want candidates and members of Congress who have the guts to stand up for working families and not simply take big checks and have super PACs elect the next senators and members of Congress.
But why do you think Americans are flocking to these candidates? I mean, aren't they a liability for November?
No, I think if you have candidates who are standing up for the working class and explaining that there is something wrong when the billionaire class is getting richer and richer while so many Americans can't afford groceries, they can't afford housing, they can't afford healthcare. That's not the kind of economy the American people want.
It's nothing but absolute commie slop with these clowns. You know, they think they're so bright, they think they're so smart. And sure, you know, this idiotic, I'd argue anti-American rhetoric, this vilification of successful people, this cheap political tactic to speak to entitled clowns. Sure, it's convincing for a certain brain-dead segment of the population, you know, like these two clowns.
Elon Musk is a trillionaire.
Yes.
Right?
Gross!
Gross.
What the f***
And you know what I would do with that money? Right? I swear to God, I would.
Why they sitting so close like that? Wow, 3 feet, dude. 3 feet.
Keep $1 billion, and I would put the rest into like foundations, cancer research,
or burn it.
Oh, like the Joker.
Yeah.
Like the Joker. Yeah, you can do two things: either help society or burn it. Yeah.
First of all, putting it in research, there is no money in the cure.
There's money in the suppressant. Yes. I'll tell you what I would.
If they found the drug, they would kill it. They would kill the trial.
He's right. They probably already have done it.
Yeah, I'm not trying to.
It's like renewable energy. I get it. Okay.
Yeah, he definitely a troll because I ain't had my Trump hat on. I just put the hat on. I ain't even had the hat on. He just jumped in talking about some Trump shit. That's funny. Black Guy 9, what up? What up?
I'm not trying to kill you.
I'll tell you what I would do. You know what I would do if I had that money?
What?
I would buy a bunch of those desalination boats and put them all over places that need clean water.
Yes.
I'd buy 1 billion of those boats.
Yeah.
Then I go, well, at least I'm getting clean water to people. I can die a happy man. Then I'll go buy 9 Ferraris and 70 yachts, and I'll do that first, and then I would go do all that dumb shit.
Yeah.
So then they couldn't.
I'm going to play this out, and then I'm going to play another video. It's from Officer Tatum about Nolan Wells.
Say anything about me. They'd go, well, he was a.
But look, they're going to talk about you regardless because
Sure, but do something good, and then.
But you wouldn't be able to do enough good because no matter what you gave,
it's not enough.
Exactly.
I know,
But I'd argue probably most people see right through this crap. We see it for exactly what it is. It's a bunch of commie gobbledygook as if Elon Musk is sitting on $1 trillion and that's unfair. Nobody wants to have the conversation of the fact that he's spearheading technology that is going to totally revolutionize data. And it's kind of ironic considering these leftoids keep fear-mongering about data centers. Meanwhile, SpaceX's entire mission is to put data and compute power out in orbit, meaning these data center satellite racks will essentially harness the power of the sun. They won't need polluting fossil fuels and other energy sources, which you think the left would care about, not to mention they won't be using water to cool, considering, well, heat doesn't exactly conduct in the same way in space, in the vacuum of space, as it does in Earth's atmosphere. Again, he's solving the problem they pretend to care about, but he's so evil, not to mention he's sitting on stock in companies that are creating opportunity and untold amounts of wealth for American citizens. I think he's responsible for having created over 160,000 jobs, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, let's demonize that guy. He's the source of all of our problems. Late-stage capitalism. Most of the stuff that these people point to as being the issues of late-stage capitalism are actually problems caused by early-stage socialism, big statism, and I think most people can see that. Most people don't want any of this commie gobbledygook crap, and the Democrats know this. They know that Bernie Sanders is not some unstoppable political force, this political behemoth, as the DSA types like to suggest. They know that AOC and these other types are unelectable, and so they're already attempting to rig the process. Yeah, it's going to be interesting how this plays out in 2028. I know the Democrats are going to have big-time enthusiasm in the next election. That's pretty much guaranteed in the midterms. But once all this maneuvering and shafting starts occurring in 2028, something tells me it's going to be somewhat of a dysfunctional and disjointed process. In other words, the Democrat Party's not a kumbaya, totally cohesive political big tent. It's a walking, talking, divided train wreck disaster, and it ain't looking so hot. Anyways, that's what
anytime I needed anything, I knew I could call them and their.
Did you have anything to do with Nolan's death?
No.
Do you have personal knowledge of someone directly in your friend group having anything to do with Nolan's death?
No, not at all.
This is part 5, you guys.
So I saw you on television, you had an interview, and I felt like you laid out a few things that I think the world needs to know and be clear about.
Okay.
And the first one is the relationship.
I get it's a podcast, but once again, I'm not finna sit that close to nobody, bro. On the real. And why you defending them so bad? It's a joke. Welcome to the podcast, Glenn. Glenn Paul, appreciate you.
That you had with Nolan. Can you explain your relationship with Nolan?
Yeah, I will. So his mom got on TV, as everybody has seen, and said that she didn't know me. And, man, that can't be farther from the truth. Me and Nolan, I met Nolan in 9th grade in our second block class. It was math. He was he was one of the first guys I made friends with. It was somebody I made a connection to, like off rip. He was an athlete.
You, man.
I could tell he was an athlete when I walked into class. We sat really close to each other.
Really appreciate you.
And all he did, he turned around and asked me for a pencil when I first met him in 9th grade when I moved to Ocean Springs. Man, it was tough, and the relationship there has always been a best friend in my eyes. I never wanted to take away how close somebody else was with Nolan, but Nolan was my best friend. That was a guy I knew I could call at any point in time. He called me at 11 o'clock on the 4th to see where I was parked at. Man, me and Nolan have countless nights of him giving me advice on my girlfriend, on my life in general. Nolan has been the only friend, and I love my friends and my best friend in this group of guys, but Nolan has been the only person that ever tell me, like, he's proud of what I've done. He's proud of how hard I worked. He's proud of me going overseas to go play ball. That was my guy. Like, that was my best friend.
Wow.
Yeah, and so how does it make you feel when the media activists are coming out and alluding to the fact that you may have something to do with what happened to Nolan on that day?
Man, that hurts. It hurts is an understatement. I beat myself up every night I lay down. Beat myself up anytime it crosses my mind. Because in my head, if I wasn't drinking, if I didn't get into that altercation, maybe I would be able to do something. Maybe I would have saw something. Maybe I would have told Nolan, hey, man, you're not going with that girl. Just come back with us. We're going back a little bit later. We can go meet up with the guys later. Maybe it just plays out different. And then the fact that they're going to play that is I'm already trying to mourn my friend's death as is, and I'm blaming myself for it. To put that in my head is a next level of hurt that can't be truly explained. Because it's hard to put into words. Generally, it's backstabbing from a sense of a community that I thought I had with my skin color, and they stay so strong together, and I'm supposed to be one of them, but I come up and I speak, and now I'm the person to blame. Now I'm not dark enough for them. I'm not black enough for them, and now I'm the issue. It doesn't make sense. In my head, it doesn't make sense.
Was Nolan, I mean, obviously you were in a friend group, but the way the media makes it seem is that almost as if Nolan was the only black person in this whole friend group. Now, they don't even mention
it's heartbreaking.
They don't bring you up in this whole thing when it comes to, what happened at Horn Island. So what's your take on Nolan being presented as like the only black kid in a group of all these white boys?
That's crazy, man. I know we've spoken a little bit, but
it's just real sad how they make everything about race, and it's not about that. You know what I'm saying? Nolan peoples are a mixed family. They got white people in their family, but they gonna push this narrative because they want money. They grifters. Anytime you get Ben Crump involved, they grifters. They want their money. They saw what happened with Kamala Anthony. They figure they can get $1 million as well. And that's bogus. That's fucked up. And then she lied about she didn't get no phone call. She don't know nobody really. And these people know her. They call her Christine by her first name. You know what I'm saying? That's amazing. Prayers, man. You know what I'm saying? Prayers, and condolences. Right, GoFundMe scammers. Yes, they are, man. And that's sad. 2026 is the whole new scam thing now. And that's amazing how everybody in Chicago, it's people in Chicago dying right now, and nobody protesting, no Black Lives Matter, no nothing going on. And you can go up and down the west side of Chicago, right there on, I think, Lake and Kedzie. You got like BMM signs all through there. You got Black Lives Matter all through the hood. And they still killing each other. They still taking each other out. There's more people dying in Chicago than they dying in Iraq, period. You can Google it.
That friend group that I'm a part of to this day was the first friend group I was in when I moved to Ocean Springs as a new kid coming in. I never knew any of them. I'd known one, kind of, sort of, back from grade school because we went to the same private school together. But that was it. That was it. And him being the only black person minority any of that measure is insane. Our friend group is diverse from the max. Like, we have a mixed guy. I mean, we had Nolan in our friend group. There's an Asian a part of our friend group. There's a Latino that they're trying to perceive as white. He's truly authentic Mexican.
Yeah, speaking of that, man, they got the prisons right now where it's certain inmates, knowing they black, knowing they Latino, Asian, all, you know what I'm saying, they ethnicity supposed to be, but the jails got them listed as white men. That's crazy. Got them listed as white, and they know they're not white. Something's going on in this system, you guys. We gotta stay prayed up for real.
His parents are from Mexico. They came over legally and they did everything right, and he's been here since. It blows my mind because our friend group is not a friend group that sees race. Our friend group sees what good you do for other people, what good you bring, and how the type of person you truly are and where your morals lie. That's one thing in common. Me and my friends might not agree on everything, but our morals align. Our morals know. So for them to even make that narrative up really shows.
Yeah, they just all about numbers, man. The same thing when it came to COVID. COVID, they was some people dying and all that, but people dying from getting hit by a bus. Oh, that's COVID. Like, no, he died from getting by a bus. The bus hit him, not COVID. He died from a bus accident. But they're listed as COVID. The hospitals, the funeral homes, they was all getting that money. All lies. Statistics was all bogus. That's why Joe Biden gave him a pardon. But if the pardon done with an auto pen, he in trouble. They stole $30 million, yeah. Living it up. They keep telling you white man bad, but they live around the white people. That's stupid as hell. I love everybody. Since me and my wife moved to Rockford, we got more white friends than we got black friends out here living in Rockford. That's crazy. Hey, babe. You know, so we got neighbors to the left. They black, they act all weird. The neighbors to the right, they white, they cool as hell. We went kayaking. They cooked food for my wife for her birthday. We share different tools with each other. We cool. We real cool people. They cool people, man. And it's crazy how the black neighbors, they act all stuck up, you know what I'm saying, for no reason. I guess my backyard bigger than his, probably. Don't keep mad at me, shit. But yeah, I love America, yeah, man. USA, baby. All day, always. I've been overseas, and it's messed up over there. At a certain time, the government cut the power off. You know, that's crazy. Here in Chicago or other places, you got schools abandoned or nobody in the building at all, and the light's still on. The lights be on for 3 months at a time, or just on period. Overseas, they don't got that going on when it comes to electricity or internet, water. So my white look better than his. Most definitely, all that. You know what I'm saying? Shit, crazy. I was trying to have a barbecue with the man. You know what I'm saying? Have some ribs, some brats, talk about it. You know, but it is what it is, man. Can't wait to go back kayaking before it get cold again with the neighbors. But let's continue.
You have no idea what it's like down here on the coast. You have no idea how tight-knit Ocean Springs as a community is. You don't understand it. You don't see the thousands of kids in the high school football stands.
Yeah, well, I think the first two friends or the first friend, he was like, when it comes to boat, you know what I'm saying? The boat life, that's a tight knit for real. If you get friends with boats and all that, they tight. Ain't no just some random stuff. It's a club. And living in Chicago, I understand for real. When it comes to the lakefront, man, it be nice. The yachts, the boats. it's a whole other experience, whole other life for real. So for him to be down there and seeing what I'm seeing from the other videos off of Tatum, it's serious down there when it comes to the boat life and fishing. That's what's up.
Cheering their team on. Nobody cares what color you are. We're there to have fun and to just live. And that's how Nolan lived. That's how I live now. I've grown up and I have more big boy stuff, but in high school, all I cared about was going to hang out with my guys. And I mean, on a personal level that leads off of it, it's like, it got me in trouble with my girlfriend just because I wanted to be with the guys. I never once thought, man, they look at me different. Man, I'm kind of an outcast to them. No. All their moms have always welcomed me with open arms. Anytime I needed anything, I knew I could call them and their parents, and they would do anything in the world for me. So with Crump pushing this narrative, it's wrong.
Yeah,
it's completely wrong, especially about our friend group.
Yeah, I find it, especially after talking to you, meeting some of the guys, that it seems like there was an agenda. But can you walk us through just your perspective from that day? I don't know if did you go with them initially? Were you a part of the group that went to Horn Island?
So I wasn't, clear that up. No, I was not on the boat with them. Yes, I was a part of the group that was supposed to go out. So the only reason why I did not go on the boat is I was offered, I got begged to go, but my uncle, we also took 12 people out on our boat, not including us two, so 14. And my uncle knows the passengers wouldn't have helped. Generally wouldn't have helped with anything. With that many people on a boat, you need a little bit of help. So my uncle was like, hey, can you just ride out with me and you can go do your thing throughout the day on the island? I don't care. I don't need you. I just need help to get out there and then pick everything up. Because I know all these people are going to be drunk and they're not going to want to do the extras that nobody sees about going out on the boat, right? And so I told Wyatt that, and oops, my bad. But I told him.
It's good.
I told him that, and I told him everything, which was go to plan. We were leaving a little bit earlier than them. I was gonna try to have a spot saved out. And Nolan calls me at 11 o'clock. I missed his phone call. Called me twice. I missed both of them. I saw Wyatt and Nolan on the boat. They pulled right in front of our boat. And they were screaming. I turned my head and I was like, yo, there's a spot over there, where they end up anchoring out. I helped them set their stern anchor. From the time they showed up until now, going back to it, 20 minutes before they left, I was with them. That's who I was with. I spent all day with them. Minus the morning time before they got out there, but from the time they got out there to the time they went back in, I was with them. Those are my friends, man. Those are my guys.
Yeah, I want to get a few more details.
I'm sorry about that.
I know that. Yeah, go ahead. I know that you were all over the news because there was a perceived fight. This is the thing that gets me, and I want to clarify this. When I saw the video that they put out on the internet claiming that Nolan was saying, give me my effing phone back, the coach came out, Nolan's coach came out and said immediately he knew it wasn't Nolan's voice. And obviously it wasn't Nolan's voice because you were the one that was
me yelling,
in there yelling.
Wow.
You got into an altercation with somebody.
Wow.
What happened after that? Like, put me in your place where the fight is over, whatever happened. Nolan is somewhere, you're somewhere, you're hanging out, and when was the last time that you saw Nolan before you left Horn Island?
So, after the fight, I didn't stay on Horn Island much longer. So the objective, I was really upset. So with you hear me yelling, my uncle had told me to get on the boat and wouldn't let me back off the boat. Obviously, I was really mad and I wanted to fight, wanted to get what wasn't smart, man. And so I was on the boat, I'm yelling, and shortly after that, I left the island. I left probably 30 to 45 minutes after I got into a fight. We started to pack up and left because I was so upset. As Javon mentions, that they were ready to get me back to land because I wasn't really mad. I was genuinely really mad. But the last time I saw Nolan, I was walking to the boat. This was before the fight. It's me and my old lady. We had just got out of a group of people. Nolan was walking towards Wyatt's boat. I was walking in the opposite direction towards my boat. And I dabbed Nolan up. I made a slick comment about something, actually about the girl that he was with. I made a slick comment to him. I was joking around, and I kept going. And not even 10 minutes after that is when I got into a fight. The last thing I told Nolan was, all right, buddy, I love you, see you later.
Yes, it is pathetic.
And I'm glad I said it. I had been under the influence a little bit, and that's probably why I did say it at the time, just, getting all lovey-dovey, but I'm at peace I said it. I'm glad I said it. That was my last encounter with Nolan. I was telling him I love him.
Did you have any, so you leave the island, did you have any encounters or association with these phones, with the keys? Did you have any connection to that?
I did not. So what I know, Warren started, I got my first phone call from Warren at about 9:20. I didn't answer it. I was asleep. I'd been on the boat all day. I didn't feel like going to party anymore. I went to bed. So I got my first phone call about 9:20, and I didn't wake up again until a little after 11 o'clock. And that was to my brother coming in the room being like, hey, Warren's trying to get a hold of you. You need to answer the phone. They're looking for Nolan. And I'm half awake, and I pick up the phone. And by this time, nobody had came to the house to grab anything. And Warren gets on the phone, and he's just like, hey, man, he was like, hey, have you talked to Nolan? Anything else? I was like, no, I haven't talked to him, man. He was with that girl last time I knew. And he was like, okay. He was like, man, we can't get a hold of him. We don't know where he's at. And I was like, man, it's Nolan. He's probably just out somewhere with that girl. Like, get a hold of the girl, you'll probably find Nolan. It's no big deal. And he was like, all right. He was like, but we're starting to freak out. We're getting on the phone with Coast Guard. I was like, okay. And at that time, he had already talked to his mom, Nolan's mom. And he was getting on the phone with the Coast Guard.
Everybody.
And I called.
Thank you. Black Guy Now.
I need to be specific about this.
Thank you.
I did not call Warren's phone. I called another one of our buddies' phone, and it was on speakerphone. They were all together. I was talking on my other buddy's phone, talking to Warren. He was dialing Coast Guard because he hung up the phone and was like, hey, this is them, bye, and hung up the phone. And that was the last time I talked to him until the next morning when we all decided, when I woke up about 7 o'clock that morning, we had all decided that we were going to go out on the boat and go look for Nolan. Wyatt had already had his boat still in the water. We took that boat out. It was
what day are we talking?
That's Sunday morning.
Sunday morning on the
5th.
The 5th?
So it was Saturday the 4th was the 4th of July. Mm-hmm. The 5th was Sunday. We were on the water from 9:45 to 11:50, 12 o'clock era, about lunchtime. While we were on the water, we talked to a rescue guy, and he told us to get off the water and said that they kind of had the island and the water under control. That's the professionals, man.
Yeah.
They told us to get on social media and find out any information we can. And by that time, we had already talked to a good amount of people out there. So it just made sense. So we went back in and we concluded our search and started the search off socials and started sharing everything we could and try to get a hold of anybody that could have talked to Nolan, that Nolan possibly would have reached out to. And that led into the night. It led all night long. I didn't sleep at all Sunday. Monday, I was up at 5 a.m. I was putting fuel in our boat at 6. I got told that we were taking out another boat to Chandelier at 7. So I put my boat back on the lift, and I went to McDonald's, and then I got the news after I left McDonald's that his body was found. So it was already a plan that we were going and searching and trying to do everything we possibly can. And that's all I wanted to do. Is I wasn't there to help him out in his last minutes, but now I feel like as a friend and as one of my guys, man, I do everything in my power to help now. And that's why I have reached out to the family. I have donated to the family, and I have giving them just your normal.
Wow. He reached out and donated. Amazing. You don't hear that type of shit. That's crazy. Let's continue.
Death gifts, I would say, as you pay your respects. And
do you think Benjamin Crump being involved in this case made it better or worse?
100,000 times % worse. Because why on the Tuesday after where has your civil rights been broken? Where has it been shown? You brought Benjamin Crump to stir up a community that's already tight-knit. Yeah, we might not be best friends with everybody, but I promise, if you're talking about Ocean Springs as a whole, Ocean Springs is going to have Ocean Springs
Salty
back.
Savage, what up?
110%. We back each other. Everybody I've seen, we back each other. And for them to push this narrative and really push it, just shows me is like you have no idea who you're dealing with or who you're messing with. And I think he's taking the grieving parents and manipulating and turning this and making it sound all bad, bad, because nothing's like that at all. No.
Have you gotten death threats? Because I know that the other young men that I spoke to about this, especially the white young men, they're getting all kind of death threats. They're being accused of killing Nolan. Did you get the same backlash and threats that some of those guys have gotten?
Yes, I've gotten the death threats per se, but I've also gotten the threats along the lines of where it's like I've been cast out of the black community. I've been called white. I've been called a wetback. All these things. I've been sent photos of me and my grandmother, and they've been told that she's the devil. She's just looking for the time to kill you. You need to be careful and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, man, if y'all want to know the story, the only people that's showed up for me in my whole life has been my white side of my family.
That's crazy. People just live for chaos. They don't care about the truth. You can give it to them as much as you want. You can pour it on them, burn it on them, whatever. They don't want it. They want chaos. That's crazy. Wow.
So for y'all to sit there and drag their name and to drag me down, and I'm supposed to be one of y'all, and you're supposed to have my back, and we're supposed to be in this together, and it's really eye-opening.
Did it shock you that it turned this way? Meaning that, you see everything happen. Nolan was your friend. From all the young men I talked to, it seemed like Nolan was the life of the party. Everybody loved Nolan. He gets along with everybody. Everybody's cool, but everybody feels like Nolan made them feel like everybody's his best friend, right? I mean, everybody felt connected to Nolan. Were you shocked that it turned like this? I mean, where this community was tight-knit, Nolan's friend group was tight. He ends up losing his life in an unfortunate situation, which nobody knows exactly what happened. Did it shock you that it turned into some racial thing?
Yes, racial, I do agree. Now,
me
going famous or going viral, that part didn't shock me. Thinking about it and being honest, like, that's not a surprise because everybody didn't love Nolan. Especially around here, everybody loved Nolan. So for people to repost that, they know Nolan. I mean, they know he did not have one hateful thing in his heart. And racism, no. that was a shock. That was a complete shock from his mom and from his stepdad. Like, that's a shock. That's an utter shock, because it's like, first off, I don't know how to word this. Nolan wasn't fully black. Nolan's mixed. Nolan has a little bit of Asian in it. You don't hear that, though. You don't.
Right, so he's not black, but if they see him being dark skinned, they go nuts. Oh, he's brown. Come on, let's go with it. Damn, slow down. Like Obama, he's a mixed president. He's not black. Stop it. He didn't have black parents. He had a black father and a white mama. He didn't have a black father and a black mother. No, he had a black father, white mother. Mix. He's not a black president. That's crazy, man.
So to turn it as like somebody's harping down on Nolan because of the color of his skin, you don't know us. You don't know our community. It's crazy that people are just running with a lie. And it's so easy for people to believe it from the outside, looking into Mississippi's history, per se. But it's like, you're looking at history. Let's go to each state's history. I bet they're not the best with black people. Like, people change.
Right,
you learn history so you don't repeat it.
Right.
Everybody knows that.
What's the craziest lie that you've seen floating around there about this situation? I know there's a lot of mysterious things, but like, what to you, what's the craziest thing that you've heard somebody say about this?
That my buddy in the photo was his lover. That was wild. That's been the utmost craziest, because it's like, what? Like, where'd you get that from? Yeah. I mean, also the lies of just how racist Mississippi is, or how racist the coast is, and Ocean Springs, and no, you don't know this, man. Like, you have no idea. And what I thought was crazy lie from the beginning was he's the only black person on the boat. He's the only black person on the island. No, not at all. Like, not once. Like, where'd you get this background information from?
How many people are on that island from your vantage point?
On the 4th of July?
Yeah.
Yeah, my family from Greenwood, Mississippi. My mom was born in Mississippi as well. Greenwood, Mississippi.
Thousands? 13 miles? Like, I mean, you're talking hundreds and hundreds of boats that are carrying minimum 4 to 8, 9 people. Like, I'm talking like on the lower end, man. We're talking about smaller vessels here. Man, if I had to take a rough estimate in my area of the island that I was in, 400, 500 people easy.
If I'm taking in Mississippi,
an actual estimate, about 400 to 500 people easy. In our group, and the group of, I would say, young adults that were in the group of Nolan Wells.
I like Mississippi. You like all the states.
100.
All the states got their good
150, 200 people.
So the idea that Nolan went out with
me, I live in Illinois.
4 white boys. They took him to a deserted island, and he was allegedly last seen with a girl, and they just abandoned him. What do you say to that?
That's no. From the time they left, including myself, and also when I left the island, I could have named 50 people I really trust behind the helm of a boat that Nolan knew, that he knew, that he could go talk to. Even if he was left, there was tons and tons of people out there. There was 10 boats that camped out at Horn Island. I know a boat that didn't leave Horn Island until 8 o'clock that night. nobody would have ever seen, nobody would have ever left somebody on Horn Island. That's a place that everybody loves to go and hang out. That's their peace. Nobody wants to see anybody out there, especially in the boating community, and I can speak on that, like, genuinely. I grew up in it. That's absurd. It's absurd.
So can you help me understand the fight a little better? Because I interviewed Warren, who's your friend, and he had made mention that his brother was involved in the fight. So can you explain who actually started fighting, and were you fighting his brother, or were you fighting somebody else? Like, how did that happen?
Yeah, and I can see now, especially, it's all been blown out of proportion. But so originally, I'll go back a couple steps. Original, me and my girlfriend, I wouldn't even call it an argument. She was upset that I lost the lid to her koozie. I dropped it in the water. Generally speaking, that's how it started. And I dropped her lid, her new koozie, in the water. And so she started to let me hear it and basically told me I was paying for it. And she was really upset with me and mad about it. And I needed to kind of sober up a little bit. And so we're walking back. And during that time, this guy that I'm not friends with, I know of him. I don't know him. I didn't even recognize him when I got in an original fight. He butted himself into my conversation and basically was telling me how I needed to handle or address the situation with my girlfriend. And man, we weren't even yelling at each other. We weren't arguing. It was more along the lines of, I literally told her, I was like, man, I just want a beer. And she was like, well, go get one, blah, blah, blah. Well, when I said that, she ducked her head underwater, and he had walked up, and he told me that I needed to watch how I talked to my girlfriend. And I looked at him, and I told him, I was like, this has nothing to do with you. We're good. This has nothing to do with you. And he sat there, and he was like, well, I'm going to tell you, I better not hear it again. And I looked at him, and I was like, whoa. You need to excuse yourself from the situation. And after I came out, he swung. He threw the first punch. And we went back and forth. I remember at one point in time, I look over and I see my uncle, and my uncle's yelling at me to get in the boat. I stopped fighting. As soon as me and him made eye contact, I got in the boat, I'm sorry. And I listened to my uncle.
And what was Warren's brother involvement in this?
And so I was getting there. So when I'm on the boat and they're trying to cool me down, I'm trying to get back off the boat because I see the crowd forming up on the island. Well, my little brother and Carter are like really good friends, like best friends, I would say. He's over at our house all the time. Carter heard him still talking crap as he's getting out of the water, and I'm on the boat, and the situation is done and over with, right? Well, he sees him talking crap, so Carter gets up and more along the lines of defending me. And for what? He was like, well, if you got a problem with Tristan, we can handle it right here.
So what's the racial breakup of these people that are involved? So the guy that you fought was
white. I'm the only black guy involved in this whole entire thing.
Yeah.
And at all. Like, I mean, I don't know. Carter is white. The dude I got in a fight with is white. Mm-hmm. I was the only black guy involved with this. My girlfriend's white. My uncle's white.
The other guy swung first.
There was no other black guy involved. And I know Big Crump tried to run with a story saying that was Nolan. Mm-hmm. Well, it was like, nice try. But there was another black guy on the island, so now your whole narrative needs to change again.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, but that was Carter's involvement, and that was kind of it. Like, after the fight, man, I remember getting off the boat. I got off the boat, and I walked up to the island, and I was telling people, I was like, hey, like, I just need to cool off. Like, let me be. This is after everything is dispersed. There was no crowd anymore when I walked off the boat. And I was like, let me be. Well, again, my uncle yelled at me, and I was like, I don't care what you're doing. Get back on the boat. We're leaving. Mm-hmm. So I got back on the boat. Shortly after that.
And at least I know you from the interviews that you've done. Some of the other boys haven't spoken out at all.
Yeah.
You've had a chance to use your voice to put the truth out there. You did an interview with, I think, ABC. You also did an interview with the Rolling Stones.
That was my first interview, with Rolling Stones.
The first interview was Rolling Stones, then ABC?
And then ABC, yes.
Now, from what you told me before this interview is that the Rolling Stones gave you a very fair interview. Seemed like the young lady who interviewed you articulated very clearly what you told her with no fluff, no nothing added.
And she cared. She really did care. And she made sure that what she was telling was the complete truth behind everything, with me, with my uncle, and then also fact-checking on her side as being in media. And it all aligned, man. And when they came out with that, it was really genuine. When I felt that, it brought me to tears because it was like, that's the truth. That's exactly how it needed to be worded. And I appreciated her. I appreciated her a lot. And we took her out to Long Island this morning to do another little bit.
Horny. Calm themselves down.
She's done well, and that's the truth.
22, and, you know what I'm saying, 25.
Her story is nothing but the truth.
Now, ABC, on the other hand, did they treat you fairly, or how did that go?
So, I don't want to say they treated me unfairly.
Damn.
The quotes that he used in the article, he did ask me for my permission on it. And I gave it to him.
Yes, it is.
To an extent. I changed up some stuff and that he initially didn't change when he came out with it. And then the voice recording, that's really what gets me, because that's what the main people are listening to, right? They're not going in and reading in depth in the article and really seeing everything. They're just going off of, what's on TV, because people don't like to read these days. But how they made that and cut a lot of my voice sounded horrible. Sounded bad. I didn't like it. I didn't like that side of it, but it already aired, so what was I gonna do? Really?
And at one point, I could have sworn you said that you didn't feel comfortable doing the interview on camera.
Yes.
And did you do that because you didn't want to be visibly promoted on television, or what? How did that?
So the side of that, and I didn't want to be on camera for two main reasons. I never wanted to do an interview and get famous. I never wanted any attention, per se, famous attention. I don't care about the negative side of it. I'm doing what I think is right. I never wanted any positive attention, let's say. All I wanted to be is for my guys to know that I had their back, and I got Nolan's back, and I didn't want the investigation especially on social media side, I guess, and with Ben Crump and their legal team, to go down the wrong path at all. That was my sole purpose, is to tell the truth and to clear up lies. When I talked to ABC, they wanted to do an in-person interview, and I told them no. I told them no because I'm getting death threats, and I don't like them. It is what it is. I'm not putting myself out there any more than I need to, and I'm not sitting behind a camera and so for somebody to watch me talk about my best friend. And I told him, I was like, if you want to do an article, it's okay. I'll talk and you can do the article on that side of it. I never originally wanted to go on TV, period. He convinced me into only using my voice, which now I regret, and I wish I would have just sat in front of a camera so you can visibly see the cuts. But they manipulated that interview pretty well. They made it sound a lot worse. And I know for a fact, most of that interview, you can't understand me because I was in tears the entire time talking about it. When he asked me about Nolan's death, and he put it if you listen to it carefully, he cuts it and I just say die. Nobody wants to see him die. I don't talk like that, man. It's not what I said. I did say died during at one point in our interview, but I said we didn't want to see his life being taken from us, period. They didn't put that. They twisted some things around and they almost made a different narrative to where it's like now people are coming out and lying. And it's like, man, no.
Yeah,
And I guess
I was wondering if you were gonna. I remember I was like, I could have sworn he said he didn't want to be on camera, and they put your picture all over the news. I mean, how did you feel about that? Was that something that you were okay with them doing that, or?
I kind of accepted it. I accepted it because I gave Rolling Stone permission to do it. So I know that's where they probably got that original photo of me and him standing next to each other.
But still, that's kind of weird that you tell them, oh, I don't want to, even if you gave you the permission of Rolling Stones, you go, I don't want to be on camera. And they put your picture up there on camera anyway.
I agree with you. It's weird.
Yeah.
It's weird. It's odd, but I generally speaking, man, like, I'm worried about my family's safety, but I have no regrets in what I've done and what I've said. Not one. I sleep better at night now that I've spoken up and I felt like I've done my part of the good, and I'm willing to help any other time if anything else pops up that I can't help with. And I genuinely just want the truth to be heard about it all, and it kills me and it breaks my heart that my best friends are going through this. Like, this is at home. This isn't something I'm just watching through a screen, listening to you talk about it or listening to somebody else talk about it. I'm living this. I'm getting the calls from my buddies crying, asking me how I'm not scared out of my mind. How am I okay dealing with all this?
So one thing that kind of stood out to me, there was a big contradiction on television, was you said in your interview that you were really, really good friends with Nolan, his best friend. Nolan's mother said on television that as if she don't even know you and she don't know who you are, and you're definitely not, at least is what she alluded to, you're definitely not his best friend. So what's the truth in that, and how did that affect you? How did that make you feel?
So yeah, so
thank you guys.
She originally touched and she said that we weren't childhood best friends, and she's not wrong. She's not wrong. I moved to Ocean Springs in 9th grade. I met Nolan in 9th grade, as I've stated in my Rolling Stone interview. Nolan was my best friend though. She can believe it or not, that was my best friend. No, me and her never had a sit down in-depth conversation like me and you're having now. It was always, hey, how are you doing? I've been to her house multiple times. I've taken Nolan to school multiple times. I've left my vehicle at her house multiple times, even including the new vehicle I just got has gotten left at her house.
Pull up the ring cam
2 days.
footage.
And I just got out and had it for 4 months. My vehicle before that stayed at her house for almost a week. Me and her son went on trips together. We went to Florida for spring break together. You don't know me? I'm in all these homecoming and prom photos as our whole friend group. Me and Nolan are standing next to each other. You don't know me. Nolan's last name is Wells. My last name at one point in time was Walker. We were by each other in the alphabet when we graduated. Man, that's mind-boggling. It's insane. Me and Nolan have multiple classes together. Me and Nolan has always stayed tight. Nolan has always known that he could call me whatever. And like I've mentioned, like I got a new phone number 2 months ago. Nolan was the only friend that had my phone number out of the friend group, and I still call them my best friends. But we communicate on other social medias. But it's like Nolan called me on the day to meet up with me on the 4th out there. But we weren't good friends. We weren't close friends. And when I say best friend, man, I don't want to take away anybody how close they were to Nolan. But when I think of a best friend, I think of Nolan. Somebody I can call, somebody that I've stayed up and I've cried to. That was one of my best friends, genuinely speaking. She might not think it. That's okay. Me and Nolan knows where we stand with each other. And period, and Nolan knows that.
Yeah, I appreciate you sharing that. With interviewing with me, right? We came out here to Mississippi. We just wanted to give the boys a voice, give you guys a voice. And out of I'd say all of the outlets that you could have spoken to, why do you feel
if you haven't already,
that you wanted to talk to me tonight?
Honestly, I'm a big fan. I know when I look at news articles, big news articles, obviously, and then I know you talk on them, I make sure I watch the full thread of videos. I think our morals align alike, and when we spoke off camera, like, it didn't seem like you were out here like another news reporter that just wanted the next big story. Like you just said, it's like you genuinely wanted us to have a platform to be able to speak and to be able to tell the truth. And that's what I like. And I know, I don't know, talking to Warren and knowing Miss Katie and being close to them and them trusting you was like, okay, I can sit down, I can have this conversation, and we can go through it, and we can have the interview on camera, and people can see me, really, I guess you could say, and talk about it and whatnot.
I appreciate that. I really do. And my last question, with all this stuff going on, and you knew Nolan very well, what do you think how Nolan would feel about how this all has transpired with Benjamin Crumb, with, the statements from his mom, with the accusations against you and his other friends? How would you think he would address this or feel about this?
Well, I know people like to use the term, they would turn over in his grave. If Nolan could dig himself out of his grave right now, he would. No doubt. Nolan would be livid is an understatement. Nolan would never want anything pursued this way at all. I think he would be really upset with his parents about how they went about the situation. I think he generally would. I don't think he wouldn't support it. I know that for 110%. I know he wouldn't support any of it. I think he would want the truth and he would search for answers, but he wouldn't go about it like this. He wouldn't let us get dogged out like this. If Nolan could have spoke up, he would have already said something about our friend group and saying, y'all are on the wrong path. Generally speaking, he would be mad. He would be mad. And I don't understand how people don't see that and how people are just okay with even some of his, I guess you could say, other best friends, man, how they were coming out and how they're acting behind it. It's like, man, Nolan was never like that. Nolan was an aggressive, threatening person. Don't get me wrong, Nolan would defend himself if he needed to defend himself. Nolan was loving and kind. Nolan was the furthest thing from a fight. Furthest thing from a fight. And I remember personally, I was in a heated argument and Nolan comes up cracking a joke and I'm like, bro, it's not even worth it. Come on. And it's like, that just shows his character wouldn't be like this. I know he wouldn't want people chanting at his funeral. I know that for a fact. I know nobody would want me or the rest of our friends to get dragged through like this. I know he would want all of us to feel comfortable going to that funeral, and all of us didn't because we're scared. And that says a lot. That says a lot. We're scared to go in our own town to who we called our best friend. We're all over his socials, man. I don't know how you're discrediting and thinking that we could have hurt him. We could have known somebody that hurt him. Because I told everybody, I would put myself in whatever position he was in 100 times before I let him pass away. And I mean that. I genuinely mean that. That dude, Florida, he was so loving and so kind. It's just wild. It's crazy. It's wild and it's heartbreaking.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you having the courage, man, to come down here and talk to us, give us, your point of view. And I say this, like I said to Warren, man, my whole objective is that, man, I was watching the injustice happen before my eyes. And an injustice meaning that the other side wasn't presented. And people that don't live here came into this town and shook it up, brought racism in it. And based on everybody's statement that I hear about Nolan is that they didn't represent what he stood for.
No.
And they bastardized his character, in my opinion, this is my opinion, to make money and build a GoFundMe instead of trying to actually get to the bottom of what happened to him. And none of this have I seen any of the activists pursue what actually happened. Somebody could have seen something, and instead they're going after dead ends simply because of race, simply because of convenience, instead of pursuing any other lead or any other notion of somebody knowing what happened to Nolan. So I thank you for coming out here, man. It took a lot of courage, putting your face out there, putting your name out there, putting the statements out there. Some people are going to be mad at you. But I'll tell you, like I told Warren and all the other boys, is that I got your back, man. You tell them the truth. I appreciate that. You being a good man, doing.
Let me address the optics issue here first, which is weird for a white guy to say this to a black man. But there are people in the black community who are going to say, I can't believe you had that Brandon Tatum on. He's not a real black guy. He attacks the black cause. It doesn't matter that he's black. He's worse than a white racist. What do you make of that allegation? And why do you think it's out there?
Well, Chris, thank you so much. And I'll say this, man, we're all Americans at the end of the day. So I don't take any offense of you using your freedom of speech and your commentary to come up with these things or make your point. I think it's laughable. I mean, for somebody to say, I don't like the black community because I'm willing to find both sides of the story to get to what happened to Nolan Wells, I mean, people should be ashamed of themselves for even framing me like that. But the problem is many people want this country to stay divided. They want us to stay in a sense of a fight or flight mode, and that racism is the main focus, and that's the main contributor to black success or failure in this country. And it's just not the case. Most people are not worried about race. I'm sure you and I couldn't care less what color somebody's skin is. Are you a good person or are you not a good person? And some things that I found out after going to Mississippi and talking to a whole slew of people is that in this situation, it does not appear that race was a factor. A young man lost his life, and I think that's what we need to focus on, and we need to focus on finding out how he lost his life.
What is your take, as someone who's obviously intimately familiar with law enforcement, what is your take on the suggestion that, the authorities really started this? They came out too soon saying no foul play. They should have said that they were investigating because there's not enough evidence for them to put out there of their own conclusion. What do you think of that?
Well, they're darned if they do, they're darned if they don't. If they said nothing, people will be mad that they didn't say enough. If they come out and at least give some people some idea of what the investigation has in store so far, then people get mad at that. They did not say that there was no foul play. They said at this point, we don't have any indication of foul play, which I think that any rational person that's involved or invested in this should feel very confident in, like, okay, we're not looking at some heinous murder where a kid was mutilated and things like that.
Boy. So we got to talk about Officer Tatum doing the Lord's work when it comes to dispelling the lies and the myths that are being put out there by the pro-blackity blacks who are desperately trying to prove white lynching in this Nolan Wells mystery, right? A mystery that really is not all that mysterious if you just use common sense, right? And if you have life experience, right? Anybody with real life experience should understand that this mystery is not all that mysterious. But again, the wokes, they really want this to be white lynching really, really, really bad, okay? And Brandon Tatum is doing something that, the media refuses to do, which is some real journalism. He went out to Mississippi and he actually talked to the friends and their family about Nolan Wells, their relationship with him, what happened that day, and he's exposing the truth, right? He's dispelling the lies and the falsehoods, and
no, right now he said he gonna give up $50,000 to find out what the truth is, and all of a sudden Tyler Perry gonna jump in and give up another $50,000. And once again, where's all this energy at for Chicago, man? On the real, you go on Facebook. Fox News 32, ABC, Channel 7. It's always somebody dying. Every news outlet in Chicago, somebody dying, left and right, period. It's sad. Hydro Ozempic. Hey, they got the pill now for Ozempic. Instead of the shot, now you take the pill. They're getting better and better with this shit. Amazing.
Know that is what the pro-blackities hate the most, right? They hate the truth, right? The truth terrifies them.
I want people to understand that the biggest threat when it comes to this country, it's not racism, it's not white supremacy, it's not any of that. The biggest threat are people who lead you to believe that those things don't exist.
Why does it have to be about race?
That's the biggest threat, okay? Because everyone would like to be moving in a progressive position, right? We would like to be moving forward. But as long as there are
This dude's a freaking clown, man. That hat, get another hat, man. Not only just that, if you don't like America, man, go ahead and leave, man. Don't disrespect the flag like that. And he said, I'm tap dancing. They said MAGA tap dancing. What this dude doing? Get off the plantation.
those people are saying, hey, there's not a problem here. What are you talking about? The doctor can't help you. He can't prescribe medicine if you don't even, A, go to the doctor to begin with. But when you go to the doctor, you say there's not a problem, even though you're bleeding out of your side, right? You got your whole intestines coming out. There's not a problem. I don't need surgery. Someone like that, you can't help them, bro. It's just bad to say this when it comes to people like Brandon Tantrum, okay? When you have low IQ black people, they are just ripe for the picking when it comes to the lineage of evil. They look at them first because they know that A, they're low IQ, so they're easy to manipulate, right? In addition to that, they don't have many options because they're low IQ, right? So it makes it easy to throw money at them and to give them their marching orders.
I'm telling you right now, if a white boy was on an island with his black friends, all black, and some white folks put on a camera that something must be suspicious because the one white boy is with all these black dudes, and something may have happened. We know that people covering it up and everything because these kids black. Man, we'd be pissed off on them.
Shut your bitch ass up. And the people who agree with him. Because he's leaving out context of why people are upset about this situation. Number one, black people have, for the most part, unified on the concept of, if you guys went out there together, you're going to come back home together. If my white homeboy is with me, he was in my boat, my car, whatever. He drove out there with me. He's coming back with me. No one told Nolan Wells' parents that this boy was even missing.
And that is a lie. I have been many places with my friends and family, and I say, hey, I'm staying behind. I'll catch y'all later. And I stayed behind, and they left. Simple as that. And the same thing happened in Nolan's situation. At least some of the parts where they said that told him, come on. He said, no, he cool. And they left. But it was still the people that he knew there. It was like a group of 20 people or 50 people or more that they knew at the group. But once again, that's not the truth, man. That's the case. Then stop killing each other.
You had his phone all fucking day. You never made an effort to get it back to him. You never made an effort to communicate to him or anything like that. The mother had to come find you to come get the phone from you. And when they opened the phone, they seen that there were text messages deleted and there were Snapchat messages deleted. This is what made it suspicious. And
now, see, I heard differently. I heard that the phone is locked, so you can't get into the phone because you need to keep passcode to get into it. So where he get his information from?
And as soon as people figured out who the fuck he rode out there went, everyone went dark. Every single person went fucking dark.
I think people owe these boys an apology. It's very sad and unfortunate what happened to Nolan Wells. I don't know if there was something that was foul play happening to Nolan Wells.
All right, Officer Tap Dance. So if you don't know, then you need to be quiet as well. How can you sit here and say people owe these boys an apology when you just clearly say you don't even know what's going on? And I know you have a PhD in criminology, so if you don't say anything that's related to white safety, then you will lose majority of your supporters. I get it. I understand. Your wife will probably leave you. But you need to shuck and jive yourself out of this situation. The scrutiny that these boys in Mississippi is receiving is not simply because of their skin color. It's the lack of concern that the system showed for this case and that his friend group showed for this case. This was a horrible investigation. They wrote it off before it even started. And then they had to go back and say, oh, well, now we're investigating this. Between the phone, between the keys, between the messages in his phone, between people not knowing which boat, which friend group he was with, between them saying he went off with these people, no, he was with these people, and then between them maybe having a fight or he hanging out with this another group of people, all of this information sounds fishy.
Yeah. So you see that, you heard that. Now, I just want people to keep in mind this idea that Nolan's friends didn't care about him, right? That there was no concern, that, their behavior is fishy. Because again, the whole thing is that these people are convinced that Nolan's friends somehow, some way murdered Nolan, right? Even though, again, there's no evidence of that at all, right? There's no indication of any type of foul play, okay? But, for them, it's just fishy, right? And again, the only reason it's fishy is because he had white friends, okay, in his Mississippi. They ignored the fact that the island was full of other people. Nolan had other friends there who, weren't white, right? Who were also black, who, I could argue that they basically have showed the same amount of concern as the white friends, okay? But again, a lot of this stuff is built off lies, right? Built off the fact that this has now become a full-blown grift, okay? And Tatum is exposing that grift. And there's some people, some black people who act.
All right, well, hey, chat. So I Googled, was Nolan Wells' phone deleted? And they got 13 sites. And out of the 13 sites, including YouTube, New York Post, no, the physical phone itself was not deleted or missing, but there is an active controversy regarding whether the data inside was wiped out. So he's about the data being wiped out. So once again, we don't know.
Actually do appreciate it, right? They appreciate it for what it is, despite the backlash from the pro-black mob.
So I'm sitting here watching this Brandon Tatum interview with Nolan Wells' friend Warren. I got it playing on the TV right there. Let they both go. I'm trying to understand what it is that y'all mad about with Brandon Tatum. I've seen some of the white liberal saviors and black folks get on here and talk shit about him. Why y'all mad that he went to go talk to Nolan Wells' homeboy who just so happened to be a white boy? If you mad at that, go eat a dick.
So what they're saying is Nolan's mother, Christine, had tracked down the phone, used location services. When she opened it up, to Snapchat account, she found there was no photos or video or save. Basically, there was nothing of the day. So all she's saying is, during that day, Nolan had took no pictures of anything of that day. That's what she was saying. And so, but she's saying because Nolan usually documents everything goes on through, I guess, his life. But I guess this particular time he didn't do it. She thought it. She thinks it's suspicious. I get it. I understand. But then nobody always take pictures all the time. My wife just had a birthday party just on the 19th, this Sunday. We took pictures, but we took some big group pictures, but we didn't take the pictures like we want to, but we took some. But it's what it is, Let's continue.
Because you part of the problem. And the white liberal saviors, they the biggest part of the issue, but that's a whole nother story. What I'm saying to y'all is, this is Warren. They in Mississippi. Nolan Wells' friend. He said, man, I met Nolan Wells in the 8th grade. We was super cool. We started getting tight after that. Nolan Wells, always smiling. He brings joy to everybody. Any room he walk in, he light the room up. Man, I text him all the time. He in the group chat. We hang out every time we come back from school. He said, no, I didn't really go over his house like that, but we was still close. That didn't mean nothing. And here
of y'all go, oh, well, how y'all close and you never went to his house? That's why I hate social media, because y'all get on here and act like life just perfect. I got so many homeboys in my life whose house I never went to as kids. But when we got grown, yes, we hung out. That does not mean this person not my friend because I never went to their house. What type of shit is that? Y'all logic is crazy, dog. Your logic is crazy. But I remember, we on social media where y'all like to make up bullshit. So I'm just trying to understand, mainly to the white liberal saviors who think they know everything was good for black folks, and to my black people who can't let racism go. What are you saying about Brandon Tatum and this white boy that's making you mad? Because now that means you mad at Nolan Wells. Nolan Wells is a fool for being friends with this white boy because y'all saying this is who took his life or got something to do with it. I thought y'all wanted racism to end. You don't want that shit to end. White liberal saviors and black folks got a racist fetish. They want to hear racist. Their mind can't compute like, hey, this didn't have nothing to do with racism. They want to believe it was racist so bad, and I don't understand that shit. I'm confused. Because I'm sitting here watching that shit. I'm looking for some racist shit. I'm looking for something that look fishy. And I can't find them. I'm just seeing regular conversations. I done seen racist white people. I'm black. I've been black my whole life. I know how they look, how they talk, how they walk, all the dog whistles they use and the microaggressions. I know this shit. Imagine like a regular white boy in Mississippi who like to fish and hang out with his partner who just so happened to be black. Man, get the fuck out of here, dog.
I listened to Officer Tatum's interview with Nolan Wells' friend, and I don't even rock with Officer Tatum like that. But I appreciate him for bringing another perspective to the table. Like, y'all ain't got to believe Nolan Wells' friend, but at least we get to hear the other side of the story versus y'all just labeling these folks as murderers without much to support that claim. But when you hear his side of the story, bro, that's crazy. Because I'm telling you, when I first clicked on the case and I was listening to Ben Crump and Al Sharpton talk about it a little bit, they made it seem like these 3-4 boys and Nolan went out to the island and it was just them. And something happened and they just left them there. And
so back to what the mother was saying. So the mother was saying that she caused suspicions and triggered fears that the content may have been deleted. So she feared that the content may have been deleted. She couldn't find other pictures of that day. Doesn't mean it was deleted. She thinks it was deleted. Come on, man.
Oh, they clearly had something to do with it and blah, blah. And then when you hear Nolan's friend's side of the story, and he's like, bro, look at the security camera, bro. It was like 20 to 30 of us on 3 boats. Everybody knew everybody, but Nolan was more close with us, so he was on our boat. But when we got to the island, it was hundreds of thousands of people there. That already, I'm like, whoa, that's not at all what I imagine if I'm listening to the other side. And then they're like, bro, we had a boating emergency, and we told Nolan we was finna leave. Come on, he said he was gonna hang back with a girl, so we left. And I'm like, that's the most normal thing ever. Nolan hung back with a girl, I hang back with a girl. There was still hundreds of thousands of people there, and he probably thought my dogs was gonna come back. So this could potentially have nothing to do with those boys. That's what I'm saying. If we're just going off of that, because that is pretty normal versus the picture that they was trying to paint with the 3, 4, 5 of them went out to the island by themselves and left Nolan. That's crazy. And it's like, I'm not saying nothing didn't happen to Nolan, but when y'all trying to paint pictures like that, bro, come on, bro. Like, what are we talking about? Something could very well have happened, but it should be more from a broad, bigger picture perspective, as in, there were hundreds of thousands of people out there. Nobody saw what happened to Nolan. That's another story, right? What about the girl that he was with? Did she see something, right? If he drowned, did anybody see the drowning, right? But it seems like people are wanting and hoping something like somebody murdered him. Why would you hope that? Like, why would that be the only thing that satisfied your? I don't know. That's weird. That's what people are like hoping is the case. Versus it may have been drinking and beach. Drinking and water is a terrible combination. Drinking, boating, and water.
Yeah. No, that just makes too much sense, right? Drinking and water just makes too much sense, right? No. The pro-blackities can't accept what is the logical conclusion here, especially when you're talking about drinking at 18 years old. Now, I'm going to have a very, very, very real, probably one of the realest videos that I've ever made once the actual toxicology report comes out, right? When the actual answer to what happens comes out, which it will, right? I'm going to make the realest video that I've ever made. okay? Because I just think that so many people are discounting the fact that this young man was 18 years old, and it is likely that this was probably his first time drinking, right? Clearly, that was a thing, okay, because he was drinking alcohol, right? We have that. We have evidence and proof of that from the pictures. And he was 18 years old, okay? Not 21, not 22, not 25, not 30. A young man who probably just started drinking. Again, just a preview. I'm going to make one of the realest videos I've ever made on this topic, right? When the actual toxicology report comes out, right? The appropriate time. But right now, again, we need to talk about how, again, Tatum has done such a good job, right? Interviewing the friends, pushing back against the narrative. And I think one of the most important parts was exposing text messages showing that there was actually concern from Nolan, from the friends and the family, right? Which goes directly against the narrative that the family was putting out there, which to me, again, is making me feel the same way that I felt about Carmelo's family. I'm feeling that way now about Nolan's family. And I didn't want to feel that way. But it's stuff like this that has to be called out because this has obviously become a grift, and the parents are in on the grift. And they're basically trying to get rich off of their dead son, which is honestly disgusting. And I honestly really kind of feel like, you know, the same type of backlash that Carmelo Anthony's parents got, right, for their disgusting grift, right, grifting off their son, murdering a young white boy in cold blood. Yeah, I kind of feel like they're just as bad, to be honest with you.
That's it. So she gets on there and she says they haven't spoken to the family or did anything like that, alluding to the fact that as if the family haven't tried to communicate with her since you lowered up, meaning that they lowered up and they haven't heard any contact from the family. Well, here is Ashley Cole, the stepmama who's a judge is what they say, and she's a family law judge. She's not even a criminal judge. So, you know, they want to make her out to be like she's going to interfere with the case. She don't have no leverage to interfere with the case, to be quite honest. But anyway, this is her, and we got this leaked to us. And so we have this information available. As you can see it, this has been verified. I saw it with my own eyes. And this is a message from Ashley Cole to Nolan's mother. And it says, Christine, this is Ashley Cole. If or when you ever want to talk to me, this is my number. This was on July the 7th.
Correct.
Now, the question is, if you want to know what happened to your son and you think that his friends are responsible, had any involvement, it would be conducive for you to say, let me talk to their mama and see what they're talking about. Because she is offering to communicate, even though they have lawyers. Yes. And the thing is, the boys didn't lawyer up immediately. Warren had a lawyer before anybody else, but the rest of the boys did an interview, equivalent of a polygraph test, all with no lawyers. So they act like they all lawyered up. That's not what happened. And then, even if they lawyered up, the mom said, come talk to me.
Yes.
And what did she do? She don't say anything. And then she had to make a correction.
Yes.
A few days later, Roland.
I think that's very important, right? I want people to understand how important that is. This family is going on national television.
Lying.
With Benjamin Crump begging for answers, right? We need answers. We need answers to what happened to our son, right? But yet, you had people whose families were connected to what happened, right? Family members of friends that were with Nolan that reached out to them and they didn't respond. Don't y'all find that to be fishy? That they didn't respond, but yet they're claiming that they're looking for answers. They want to know what happened to their son. Well, if you want to know what happened to your son, why are you not responding to text messages where you have family members of the friends who were there that are trying to talk to you? Why are you ignoring that? They know what happened to their son. They know exactly what happened to their son. And again, they're running this grift to get rich off of what likely is their son getting too fucked up, being 18 years old, probably, again, not used to getting drunk like that on a 4th of July, and ended up drowning. They know what happened to their son. But again, they have discovered the opportunity to make money off of this because, again, that's the precedent that has been set by the Carmelo Anthony family. And they're following in their footsteps. I think that's what's happening here. There's no reason why she wouldn't want to respond to those text messages, to be proactive. But yeah, they're going on national television pretending like, well, none of his friends cared. None of his friends' family cared about Nolan, right?
But they reaching out.
Feeding into the pro-blackity conspiracy theories.
The parents, again, they've offered, and I need to correct myself because I think yesterday in one of the interviews, I think I said that maybe none of them, I want to say 2 or 3 of them have reached out. Just the first one expressing their condolences, another one just saying, hey, give me a call if and when you're ready type of deal. And then another one just, sorry for your loss, but hey, we need to talk type of thing. And you know what?
What?
It hasn't, are we at a week? My brain is mush. We're all over the place emotionally. This has been a difficult situation. I cannot express how hard this has been on not just us as parents, but also his siblings.
But they got bald head milk dud down there that can communicate. Why don't they have them talk to their lawyer? Why don't they communicate? So you telling me, this is the part that make me mad, and this is why I question them sometimes, that this is another money grab situation.
Yeah.
If my son was killed or dead,
sure,
and these are the last boys that's with him, they clearly are friends.
Yeah.
The parents don't seem to be hiding anything because they're trying to reach out.
Right.
They gave condolence and they said, let's talk. One parent said, we need to talk.
Yes.
What do you want to talk to me?
We need to talk. We need to talk. Now, again, it all makes sense if you just use your common sense, right? Life experience, okay? 18-year-olds drinking, right? That's I think the main reason for the so-called silence,
pills,
right? But that whole,
come on, you guys. You know what pills involved too. I'm not saying he had any pills, but pills involved. Pills has been around for years. Molly's, X, you name it. They've been around. So ain't no telling he had some. Took a half or a whole. Never know. Cocaine, anything can be involved. They young. And he's 18 drinking, 18, 19, getting it in. What you expect to happen? I'm pretty sure he can swim. Because he's been out there with them for years, kicking it and going on the boat. I'm pretty sure he had to learn how to swim. Learn how to swim eventually. I'm pretty sure. So say he was a strong swimmer. Okay, well, damn. The truth will come out. The truth will come out.
we need to talk thing probably means that, hey, we got to tell you about your son, right? We need to tell you that your son that day was messed up, right? That your son was drinking heavily, that your son might have been doing these drugs, right?
Damn, so
not something that you want to say publicly,
right?
But hey, something, wow. We need to talk. I need to tell you what really happened, right? The parents don't seem to be interested in that. But again, they want to run on national television and pretend as if nobody saw anything. Nobody knows what happened. Nobody wants to reach out to us. Nobody cares, right? His friends just abandoned him. His friends' family don't care either, right? But again, according to Officer Tatum, apparently they are getting text messages. People are reaching out to them.
She said it herself.
But for whatever reason, they don't want to run that narrative. Well, why is that? Because again, it doesn't fit the whole, murder mystery narrative, right? The white lynching narrative.
It's midterm.
It's disgusting, honestly. It's getting more and more disgusting. The longer that this carries on, the more disgusting that it gets. And that's why I'm telling you guys, when the toxicology report comes out, when the real story comes out, the real autopsy, I'm going to make the realest video I've ever made on this channel about this specific issue, about this specific topic. Because the amount of ignorance surrounding this it's insane.
Well, you may know what happened to my son. So let me talk to you and see what you got. But no, I don't want to talk to them.
Well, also, too, you would do your due diligence as a parent to turn over every...
Because they know what happened to him. They know what happened to their son. They don't want anything to go against this narrative that they're trying to push, though, which is that, again, this was some white lynching, right? They're raising too much money off of it. So they can't stop it. They can't stop it now. So, no, of course, they don't want to talk to anybody who actually knows, right, what they already know about their son and what happened.
Impossible.
Let me talk to these people and see what they got to say. Because if they coming forward to me, I ain't got to chase them down.
Yeah.
then maybe we need to, maybe they got something I don't know.
Yeah. And
maybe
also,
they're willing to share some text or share some video or give me some context, because they're out here right now saying, we don't know what happened. The boys, he left with the white boys and then came back dead. And, I don't know what happened. It's like, ma'am, are you saying a couple days ago parents have been reaching out to you?
Right.
Why would they reach out to you? They kill your son.
Yeah. Like you wouldn't, if you were hiding something, the last...
Man, if I killed somebody, I'm going to get a lawyer and you ain't going to hear from me.
850,000.
But these kids didn't even have lawyers and their parents are reaching out.
Yep.
All right.
Yeah. Again, when the real information comes out, when the autopsy comes out, when the toxicology report comes out, I'm telling you, I'm going off. Okay, I'm giving a real perspective on how this goes down, right? And what Nolan probably was going through as an 18-year-old. Okay, the parents definitely, they know what happened to their son, but what they know does not fit the narrative that they're pushing to the public because they're raising too much money. And that's why this is so disgusting. That's why, again, I'm looking at them the same way I look at the Carmelo Anthony family. I say, this is disgusting. What you're doing is disgusting.
Yes,
you're dividing the country to enrich yourself off of your dead son, right? Playing the race narrative. Again, in the case of Carmelo's parents, off of somebody else's dead son, that their son murdered in cold blood. But again, that's the precedent that's been set. That's how stupid a lot of black people are in this country when it comes to this race conversation.
That's what you call it, reparations.
They'll throw money at anything that has to do with the white man, right? Something that the white man did wrong, right? They'll throw as much money at it as they can. Doesn't matter how silly it is. Doesn't matter if, it's immoral, how wrong they don't care. They just want to stick it to the white man no matter what. And they out here chasing ghosts, right? Chasing white ghosts. When the can of alcohol that Nolan was drinking in the photos, right? That's probably what ended up killing him, right? That's the real culprit, right? But nobody want to talk about that, though. Nobody wants to talk about the alcohol. They want to talk about everything else except the alcohol. Anyways, like I said, just wait till this toxicology report comes.
And what is there to protect our democracy? And what is there to protect our democracy to make sure that it sustains through the next wannabe king or next wannabe little Hitler or whatever? Like, so, to me, the number one thing should actually be fortifying democracy. And
we got to talk about.
I'd be so glad when she's done. What she be good? What she be going with January? That'd be it. On the real, January can't get.
Jasmine crash out.
I'm not trying to rush January. That's something's still here, but I'll be glad when she's gone.
Crockett, because of course she's back again with some of the craziest statements ever, right? Making the rounds on the internet for her last little 6 months or whatever it is before she's out of office, and people are roasting her online. And I want to talk about it because I think it's absolutely hilarious. So with that being said, smack that like button, subscribe if you are new, and let's jump into it.
Do you know what today is? Well, of course I know what today is. It's Black Women's Equality Pay Day. And we know in this country, unfortunately, Black women tend to be undervalued, under-resourced, and expected to do more with less. The same work for the same pay. This really shouldn't be a hard concept that Black women should get paid.
Now, this is what she posted on X with this video. Today is Black Women's Equal Pay Day, and in 2026, Black women are still only making 65 cents on the dollar. Pay Black women, period. A goofy video, just stupid, just dumb. Black women are making 65 cents on the dollar compared to who and how and why? First off, it's white men. But then I said, okay, well, let's see what she's talking about. This 65 cents per dollar compares what the average Black woman makes compared to the average white man makes. And it does not take into account what job they chose, occupational choices, hours worked, experience, or education levels. I want to say this again. It does not take into account what job they chose to pursue. Different jobs pay different amounts of money. It doesn't take into account how many hours they worked. It also doesn't take into account their education levels. I can't be the only one who sees how stupid this is. And this woman is in Congress. She's helping to write and she votes on laws. There are so many variables that play a role in this that she's just ignoring. It's unserious. But, it's about, showing I'm supporting Black women and getting out there and saying something and virtue signaling, because that's what Democrats are about. They're about virtue signaling, patting themselves on the back and making themselves feel moral, and then opposing Donald Trump, crying about racism. And videos like this will lead Black women to think they're oppressed in the United States when they're not. Black women are not oppressed. Black men are not oppressed. And we need leaders who actually come out and say that and actually talk about decision making and consistently stacking good decision on top of good decision on top of good decision, rather than complaining about history, the white man and slavery and wanting reparations and whatnot. The Democratic Party is not beneficial for Black people. It just enables, what's the best word I want to use? It enables self-destructive behavior for Black people. They're enablers of that. But I talk about topics like this more.
Was he wrong?
Nope.
Was he wrong at all?
No, he's not.
No, not even a little bit. Not even a little bit. This stuff is just. Hold on. Absolutely ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. I mean, top to bottom. But of course, that's the grift for these folks. They're all. I mean, literally, the Democrat Party. They're professional victims. That's what they are. I think that's the best way to put it. Professional victims.
Do you know what today is? Well, of course I know what today is. It's Black Women's Equality Pay Day. And we know in this country, unfortunately, Black women tend to be undervalued.
It was called White Woman Day. It'd be an uproar. But they keep on talking about white supremacy. Wow. I don't get it.
Under-resourced, yet expected to do more with less.
The same work for the same pay. This really shouldn't be a hard concept that Black women should get paid.
Then take your ass to work. See, this is the problem, right? You run around, you say we're the most educated. No, you have some bullshit degrees and some shitty ass jobs.
He's begging.
Most educated amongst Black people, yet you're still lower paid than Black men, and Black men are hard workers. Maybe this education thing for y'all isn't going the way that you want it to go, because you're going into bullshit careers. You're not less valued than white women. Nobody sees it that way. White people don't even see it that way. You know who sees it that way? You do, because you're professional victims. Now, Jasmine Crocker shit comes out and says, is Black women pay equal? Like, who invented this day? Is this like Juneteenth or some shit? What are you talking about? You go into a job, they're going to offer you what they can pay you, right? You think because you're Black, that's the reason they don't pay you? No, it's because you don't work. Skedaddle.
Yeah, they love talking about, most educated. In what? In what? What are you educated in? What are you educated in? Underwater basket weaving or something? Like, what is it? But there was a video clip of, some chicks.
With our privilege just dripping off of us. Sitting here with my other white buddy with our privilege just dripping off of us by the buckets. I mean, just bucket loads of privileged whiteness just dripping. Hell, nothing like a good old white privilege day to get you started. Don't you love your white privilege, Brian? Ain't it great? Have a white privilege day.
Let me address the optics issue here first, which is
who were talking about their degrees. I think I posted it as a YouTube short. By the way, if you don't watch my YouTube shorts, definitely check out my YouTube shorts. You're missing out on a lot, okay? You're missing out on a lot. But they were like talking about their degrees, and their degrees were like the most useless. I don't even know if some of them like were you could turn into actual jobs. But like people are literally graduating with degrees that are just pointless. Utterly pointless.
That was for you, bud.
Like there was one chick who said she majored in.
That man was dripping sweat. Shit. I wonder what the temperature was, because he was definitely sweating up there in that attic.
Like Mexican studies or something like that. And I was like, what? The fuck? Well, what are you gonna do with that? That's what you majored in? Why'd you major in that? Well, because, I just love it. Okay. You just paid a university thousands upon thousands of dollars to do that?
Yeah.
But also, these universities are pretty predatory as well. I can't put all of the blame on these folks, even though, they did sign off on the dotted line. These universities know what they're doing. Offering these pointless classes is just ridiculous. They should also be forced to stop that nonsense as well. But let's continue on.
Jasmine Crockett says that we should deport all white supremacists. And I don't typically agree with her, but I agree with her on this. And I also want to double down and say that we shouldn't just support deporting all white supremacists, but we should support deporting all black supremacists and brown supremacists and basically anybody that is racist and hates people based off the color of their skin. So I emphatically agree with you, Jasmine Crockett, but there's a problem, and this problem is for you. You see, if we have to support deporting racists, you would be the number one racist that would be deported. You'd be the top of the list because everything that comes out of your mouth is about hating white people and how white people are dangerous and how white people are bad people and how white people are a threat to society. Everything that comes out of your mouth is racist. And so you being the black supremacist that you are, I believe that you top the charts and you should be the very first person to be deported. People love to say that white people are racist, but they hate to say that black people are probably the most racist people who are not held accountable, which gives them the privilege to be able to go into the media and actually spew hatred towards a race and get away with it. I think it's disgusting, but at the same time, again, I agree with you, Jasmine Crockett. But I also believe you should be the very first person to be on a flight going to I don't care where, because that's the right thing to do.
I agree with that. Right? Let's deport the white supremacists and let's deport the black supremacists as well. Deport them all. Deport them all. Life would be a whole lot better here in America. People like Jasmine Crockett would be gone, that's for sure. So I don't think anyone would complain about that one, right? Man. I don't think a single soul would complain about that, but I got a couple more videos.
Your world when they saw.
Maybe I'll just do one though. Let's see here. This thing is messing up on me. Jeez Louise. Let's see. Okay. Here we go. Sorry about that, guys.
When they saw all of the World Cup that captured the imaginations of the entire world, when they saw all of these people of color that was playing for all these teams, and ultimately, if you recall, the last two teams, it was Argentina and Spain, and it seemed like the vast majority of the world was rooting for Argentina, or actually against Argentina, right? And why was that? Just give me an explanation if you could guess. If you'll just let them finish the answer.
Spain had the best team. Maybe that's why they were rooting for them.
There's also a racist history that exists as relates to Argentina.
You recognize.
So here's Jasmine Crockett saying that people of color were rooting for Spain to win the World Cup because Argentina has a racist history. I don't know where to begin. Here's the historical problem with this framing. Argentina speaks Spanish because of Spanish colonization. The majority of Argentina's population are the descendants of the Spaniards and Italian immigrants. So the quote unquote racist nation, by her framing, and the nation she's holding up as a root alternative share the same colonial bloodline. I can't blink enough. You can't root for the colonizer and rebuke the colonized. This is what happens when a narrative is built on vibes instead of history. It collapses the moment you ask a follow-up question. And there are people that will look at this and say, yeah, you tell them, okay, no, this brings up another issue. Here's a deeper psychological pattern that's worth noting that stood out to me. This is identity politics applied so reflexively that it stops even being factual. It stops actually requiring historical literacy. And instead, it just sounds authoritative, but it's not even accurate. And there's a real assumption baked into moments like,
why you worry about Trump wearing diapers, man? You okay? Welcome to the chat. Are you listening to what the lady saying? You about Trump diapers. You got a lady right here talking. What's going on?
that a law degree or a title means that you are historically literate, or that it automatically means that you rigorously fact check before you speak. It doesn't. It does not. Your credentials measure what you were taught, okay? And oftentimes people hear, oh, this person is a doctor or a lawyer. Okay, being educated on a specific subject does not mean that you have common sense, and it also does not mean that you understand the world more broadly. Your educational credentials does not mean that you are interrogating what you're saying before you say it. Not everyone can critically think. It doesn't matter. Okay, because I see a lot of people say, well, Jasmine Crockett is a lawyer, so she must be super smart. Yes, possibly in law. You can't possibly root against Argentina for its colonial history while rooting for the very people that colonized Argentina in the first place. That's not a political opinion. It's a basic history problem. And no title or number of degrees will change that. I go into greater detail on this topic over my Substack. You can click the link in my bio and join my community.
But of course, Jasmine Crockett would never know any of that. Because she's just a crash out.
Right.
And I'm so happy she's going to be gone. Partly happy, kind of. Because she did provide us with some good content, right? She made it easy some days to make some vids. That's for sure, right? Same thing with, who was the mayor of Chicago before Brandon Johnson?
Lori Lightfoot.
Because I used to call her Beetlejuice. What was her name? Lori Lightfoot. She provided some easy video content as well. I kind of miss Lori Lightfoot. Because of how terrible she is, right? Terrible she was. Same thing with Jasmine Crockett. I'm going to miss her a little bit just because of how terrible she was, right? And some of the most outlandish things that she would say. It just made it so easy to make content on. So for that, for that reason, I will miss her a little bit, But anyway, as always, y'all get in the comments. Let me know your thoughts and your opinions. Smack the like button, okay? Really helps out with the algorithm. And if you're not subscribed already, hit that subscribe button.
Subscribe.
This was not a software glitch, according to the software company that manufactured the software for the voting in New Jersey. No. They didn't do anything wrong, they're saying. In fact, they've worked for decades in New Jersey and never had a problem. And now it wasn't until Mickey Sherrill came out and blamed them that they had to turn around and say, no, this wasn't us. I want to go to John Solomon, justthenews.com, reporting this just yesterday. Listen to Solomon. He contacted the company. Here's what they said.
When we
we told you that last night. The governor said, not our fault. It was a software glitch. No big deal. Well, overnight, we reached out to the software company that runs New Jersey's system. And you know what they said? There's no software glitch at all. The state of New Jersey knew they were putting non-citizens, i.e. foreigners, onto the voter rolls. It is the state's responsibility to determine who is eligible to vote and who's not. The software had it marked right. That is a major contradiction. And just a little while ago, the Assistant Attorney General for Civil Rights in the U.S. Justice Department, Harmeet Dillon, announced that there is an investigation of New Jersey now into whether they knowingly were allowing non-citizens to vote and to get on the voter rolls. Remember, a week ago, she sent a letter out saying, if you let non-citizens vote knowingly, you're in trouble. Well, now the vendor's comments raise the very strong possibility that one of the blue states in America may have acceded to allowing non-citizens to vote.
You understand, right? And this is, well, my suspicion. I think this is the president's suspicion. I think this is one of the reasons why they're working so hard and why it's so special to him to get the Save America Act through. We need identification for all the voters. And we also need some kind of checks and balance system so that you don't have 6,600 people being registered to vote. I mean, 400 people that are not citizens in the United States of America voting in an election. That is more than we have ever seen. This is historic, you guys. So before they try and poo-poo it, and believe me, that's all they're doing is poo-pooing it. Oh, no big deal. You saw CNN, we ran that clip yesterday, and you got the anchor trying to say, it doesn't really matter. It's like, hello, 6,600 people were registered. And if they got away with 6,600 this time around, how many more are they going to register next time around? If 400 voted this time, that's the most ever that we know of, most definitely. How many are going to vote next time? I mean, you shouldn't be okay with one, let alone 400. Here's the company itself saying, you know what? IDEMIA works with the New Jersey Motor Vehicle Commission and has for more than 40 years worked with them. I mean, amazing. It's actually a French company to support the process through which eligible individuals may indicate their interest in registering to vote when applying for or renewing a driver's license or state-issued identification card. IDEMIA's role is to transmit information through the motor vehicle system. The voter registration information is transmitted to the New Jersey Department of State Division of Elections, which is ultimately responsible for verifying eligibility to vote. Information submitted by the company must be still validated and basically signed off on, right, by the Division of Elections. So the company is also saying that 6,600 records submitted contain the correct information as designed by the state. Okay, so the state is the one.
Yeah, Larry Elder should have won.
According to the company, that is out there saying, yeah, register them. Wow. I mean, again, this speaks to why I think some heads are really going to roll. And if New Jersey continues to dig its heels in, you're going to have a judge say, listen, hey, Mickey, Cheryl, you're going to have to turn all this information over for the 400 people. And there's a full-on investigation going on because we want to know who at the DMV decided it was okay to check the wrong box. Do we think this was completely innocent? I don't think so. Because I think that there's a school of thought out there that says now you can do anything, you must do anything to win against Donald Trump. It's called TDS. A lot.
Was it 80,000 in Somalia in Minnesota? That's how Eon won, Omar won, some shit like that. Amazing. So she won, if I'm getting it right, guessing it right, that she got elected without being voted in by Americans. She got voted in by illegals. If that's the case, that's some bullshit.
Other people have it, and it's causing them to have some very poor judgment. Here is the governor of New Jersey, full on blaming the software company.
Initial analysis shows that fewer than 400 newly registered individuals voted in an election due to this software error. They were registered as Democrats, Republicans, and the majority unaffiliated, and were scattered across the state. But let me be clear, this entire situation is unacceptable. It's unacceptable that
some things, just keep it old school, you know? Just keep it old school. That way you don't know about messing up anything going wrong. Keep it simple. Simple and clean. Keep it old school. All this digital stuff and AI is very deceiving. A lot of fraud with it. A lot of fraud. It's unfair to a lot of people. Unfair.
the vendor released software with such a glaring error. It's unacceptable that the MVC took a year to get this issue fixed.
It's unacceptable that you guys won't turn over the names. It is unacceptable that you're not fully cooperating with federal authorities to let them know who is involved in this entire process. I think it's fully unacceptable that you have said for so long that we ought to have open borders. And I think that basically what this is showing you is that there has been a method to the madness because they want to ensure that they continue to get elected. And so that was part of why they were bringing millions and millions and millions of people into the country that we couldn't afford, right? Because one, it would hit you on the census. So if you got more people in New Jersey, doesn't matter, they're illegal, they're not citizens, you get more representation in Congress. It's that simple. And then, of course, if you can just sneak them in and they get to vote somehow, some way, and you keep offering free stuff and you keep teaching them, oh, this country's a bad country because it's not communist, well, then maybe you might actually have a pathway forward to win, because currently you don't. I mean, let's face it, you guys just don't. You're never going to win because, you're obsessed with all the wrong things. You've backed yourself into a corner, or Donald Trump has forced you into that corner, because everything that he is for, somehow you're against, even if it's just really common sense stuff like a man is a man, a woman is a woman. And by the way, men really shouldn't be competing against women in college sports, or kids sports, or I mean, they don't even know what a man or a woman is, right? Oh, there was a great moment. Boy, I'll tell you, Brandon Gill, he is fantastic, right? Is he not, guys? He's he's Dinesh D'Souza's son-in-law, by the way. Some of you may or may not know.
If you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. 2,239 subscribers. Thank you, guys. You guys are a blessing. This is my main channel. With videos, shorts, lives. Let's continue.
Dinesh is a friend, and I've known his daughter for a while, and I was just thrilled when I found out they were getting married. So Brendan is terrific, and he brought up some of these crazy issues, and it really speaks to, I think, how insane, really and truly insane, all this DEI stuff has gotten, all of this nonsense about, look, I mean, even little things like politeness, according to some of these DEI nut jobs, is really about white supremacy. Did you see this one? This was the Smithsonian. I mean, you gotta be kidding me. You just gotta be kidding me. And yet they're not. I mean, this was actually something that was in one of their toolkits or their handouts. And I'm like, how does this happen? I mean, really and truly, how does it happen? It happens because somehow we have allowed this to creep in. Let me go to Brendan Gill here, calling out the Smithsonian director full on. And it is fantastic. I mean, really and truly fantastic. Let's go.
Is it important to be polite? Is it important to be polite?
Yes, sir.
It's also interesting because the same mass action toolkit that your organization has been promoting references politeness as a defining characteristic of white supremacy culture. Ma'am, are you a white supremacist?
Hell no, I shouldn't.
No, sir.
You're not. Can you help me square why your organization says that being polite is part of being a white supremacist?
I'm not exactly familiar with that passage of the Mass Action Toolkit, which is
I can show you the passage. It's right here.
I don't. Pardon me?
I just read you the passage from it.
I mean, really. I mean, things have just gotten too out of control, because, it's like a slippery slope. They just kept going down it and down it and down it. And they suddenly, they don't know what day it is. They don't know if it's night or day. They don't know if it's cloudy or rainy outside. They don't know what a man or a woman is. They think that men can get pregnant. Here's the American Bar Association saying that the Supreme Court should reflect the demographics of America. And so, let's point out how ridiculous this statement is again. if you're not putting merit front and center, if you're only about, well, we got to have quotas and we got to have someone from this and someone from that and et cetera, et cetera. And so Brandon Gill got this lady from the American Bar Association on this one pretty darn good. I point this out, guys, because it's actually relevant when we consider what went down in New Jersey and our concerns about somebody just saying, well, I'm gonna check off a box that registers.
It's all about stupid fatigue, really. Stupid fatigue. It's not about the color, because everybody, you know what I'm saying? It's just common sense, you know what I'm saying? What happened to common sense, man? We gotta make that shit strong, keep it strong. To the pregnant men. Where do they keep all the pregnant men at? Maybe in a big warehouse. Damn. Boy, Russ, you silly.
6,600 people. It's not implausible or impossible to think that somebody would do that because of the TDS.
This will be the last video, you guys. I ain't gonna stay on this too long. This will be the last one with her. This is probably like maybe like 4 minutes left of the video. Usually I go about 3-4 hours long, but I got work in the morning. I'll be back for you guys.
Has infected so many minds, including the woman who runs the Smithsonian, including, in my estimation, the woman who's head of the American Bar Association. Take a look at this one. He got her good.
So would you say that it's helpful, it's beneficial if our Supreme Court resembles the racial diversity of America?
The ABA believes that diversity in all of its forms is important. We want people to bring all of who they are, whether they be from small practice or
diversity.
large practice.
Can you define diversity here? You want it to? Should the Supreme Court resemble America's racial makeup, roughly? It's a yes or no question.
The ABA does not support quotas.
I'm not asking about quotas. I'm asking if it should roughly resemble America's racial makeup.
It should represent all of what people are.
Of what people are. Okay. So right now, there's about two of 9 of Supreme Court justices are black. That's about 22% of the Supreme Court. According to your testimony, about 13% of America's population is black. If the Supreme Court should roughly resemble America's demographic makeup, as the ABA states is proper, in your opinion, regardless of qualifications, should the Senate refuse to confirm a third black Supreme Court justice?
The ABA supports and encourages diversity in all of its forms.
That wasn't my question. My question was, if a Supreme Court vacancy opens up, should the Senate refuse to confirm a third black Supreme Court nominee based on his race or her race?
The ABA does not support quotas, and so
the ABA does support some sort of, and hopefully we'll get into that. The ABA does support making sure the ethnic makeup has a specific amount.
That was great, right? He's really, I'll tell you, I see a lot of clips all the time, and I'll come across Brandon's and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's so good. He's a smart guy, and all of these people just get trapped by their own words over and over and over again. But it's important to understand that, right? In light of everything that's happening right now, because they've gotten so far out in left field that they have no more common sense. Like, there's no grounding in any kind of reality, and you can actually very easily use their words against them. But think about it. If you have no common sense, if you don't really seem to grasp basics, then you're willing to do crazy things like register non-citizens.
Common sense, you know what I'm saying? Make it great again. Make common sense great again, you guys. I'm out of here. Good night. God bless. Love each other. Love each other. Love all. Like, share, and subscribe. I'll be back. We got the first one for English. Amazing. Catch y'all later. Peace. USA, baby.